Greetings, in the Lord's name. Devotional tonight, 7 reasons to fully and completely forgive. There's a saying by Paul Besa, forgiveness does not change the past, but it changes the future. Why forgive? I guess it's the religious thing to do, but why? Well, from an unusual source from up here, Kathy Norman from the University of Pennsylvania did a study on forgiveness and on unforgiveness. And she said that sometimes we confuse it with permissiveness. Sometimes we confuse it with allowing someone to continue to take advantage of us. But that's not what it is. Forgiveness benefits the one who was wronged, she says, more than the one who did the wronging. Unforgiveness, she found, causes a host of mental and physical diseases. Unforgiveness can cause increased anxiety, depression, elevated blood pressure, vascular resistance, decreased immune response, and worse outcomes in coronary artery disease. Let's see what God has to say, though, about forgiveness. He has quite a bit to say. 7 reasons to completely and fully, thoroughly forgive. And I don't have this down, but it's something I'd really like to be able to do with all my heart. Number 1, we forgive to be God-like. God forgives. Does anybody doubt that? Let's turn to Matthew 5:48. God forgives. And what does he tell us, his followers? Matthew 5, verse 48. He says, "Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect." No surprise, right? God is telling us that as Christians, we should be like Christ. Christ forgives. That as followers of God, we should strive to imitate God. God forgives, so we should forgive. The word perfect in the original languages, of course, means complete, becoming perfected. I don't think anyone expects that we're going to be perfect on this side of glory, but we want to move in that direction. Number 2, is forgiving someone suffering? Is forgiving someone suffering? Often, yes, until we get good at it. We turn to Philippians 1:29. Philippians 1, verse 29. Paul tells us that we need to suffer for the sake of the Lord. Elsewhere, he tells us to suffer for one another. Philippians 1, verse 29, "For unto you it is given in the behalf of Christ, not only to believe in him, but also to suffer for his sake." Number 3, why forgive? Number 3, to lift up the weak who have wronged us. To lift up the weak who has wronged us. Galatians 6:2, please turn to Galatians 6, verse 2. Here we're instructed, "Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ." lots of studying and lots of speculating on how much of the law is for us today. 20,000 Christian denominations in the United States, all having a different subset of what is for us today. But surely we believe that that law is for us today, to bear one another's burdens. Number 4, likely the most important reason, I stuck it in the middle, the most important reason to forgive fully and thoroughly and completely with all our heart and all our soul and all our strength is because each of us, without God's forgiveness, shall with certainty meet a terrible future in the fires of hell. Matthew 6, verse 15. We need God's forgiveness. And it's there for us. We don't have to worry or wonder. Can we get it? Can we reach it? Are we worthy? No, of course not. But it's there for us anyway, because He's a loving God. And so should we be to those who may not deserve it. Matthew 6:15. But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Number 5, how should we forgive? Half-heartedly, only to be seen of men, to do our duty, to salve our consciences, but no more than we have to. Please turn to Matthew 18:35, big chapter about restoration. Often thought of to be the chapter of excommunication, but even that for restoration. Matthew 18:35. There's a beautiful parable there about those who were forgiven and those who weren't forgiven, and the difference between them. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you, if ye from your hearts forgive not every one his brother their trespasses. From your hearts. Number 6, so important is forgiving others fully, releasing them, instead of showing our disapproval. Sometimes we do that, we show our disapproval by being unforgiveness. We're letting someone know that we're unhappy with their behavior. Maybe we're avoiding them. Maybe we're talking about them. I don't know, however we express it, but so important is releasing them instead of showing our disapproval, that God even commands we interrupt fellowship with Him to do it first. That's pretty serious. Matthew 5:23 and 24. Please turn to Matthew 5:23 and 24. Interrupt fellowship with Him. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. We saw the parable and the instruction of Jesus about Korban, that sometimes doing something religious is not as important as relationships. Relationships are so important because the faith is a relationship, not ritual. Not do this, but a relationship with God and Jesus, and a relationship with our brother, and a relationship with those without. Finally, number 7, forgive as fully and completely as you would like to be forgiven by others. Forgive as fully and completely as you would like to be forgiven by others. Matthew 7:12. the so-called golden rule. Therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. Would we, like God, just say in that great day, I forgive you, enter into heaven, but because of how you wronged me, stay away from me for all eternity. I forgive, but I don't have to be involved with you. No, we wouldn't want that, would we? And so, let us not do so to one another. Today, this month, is the month where the Jewish community is focusing on forgiveness. There are holidays they have. And these holidays, they get from the Bible. And the themes of forgiveness are on their minds. It should be on our minds. And not just this month, but every month. In Genesis 32:20, remember when Jacob gave a gift to Esau to appease him? Well, that word appease in Hebrew is akaporah, like kippur. It was almost a little micro-atonement. And so, of course, we can't atone for ourselves, but through our suffering for one another, we can head in that direction. We can have a little taste of what God does for us. We can do for one another. Do we have some prayer requests for tonight?